time to tell the story of my first road gig. Now, my first road gig was with a female artist. She's not really in the business anymore. It's not even really worth it to mention who it was. But, I had been in Nashville for a pretty good amount of time and never really pursued the country music thing. I didn't hang out at the, Hall of Fame, place, the jam place that people would go that were looking for country gigs. And I wasn't really much of a country player, but this particular female country artist was kind of, mid-level, but, had some songs on the radio, was getting some airplay and a little bit of traction. So there were dates on the books. And, I got the call and they basically said, go to this address down on Music Row, pick up the CDs, meet the tour manager, and learn the songs. And I was told if you could sing the high harmony and play acoustic guitar, you got the gig. It's like, okay. So I've talked about this before. I was not in, tip-top shape at the time, and I am a bass baritone. So I had to, jog for like 2 weeks to get my range, my falsetto up so I could sing those high harmonies. And from what I understand, I think it had been Trisha Yearwood had done the high harmonies on that record. So man, they were up there. So, I did the work. I trained essentially, and I would recommend anybody if you're being told, or you're about to embark on a road gig, or even just play a bunch of gigs, you need to make sure you're in good shape before you get out there, because once you get out there, you're gonna be so tired, perhaps from the travel and or just night after night in the clubs, that you're going to wish you were in shape. And so I got in shape. I got to where I could hit the notes, and I learned the acoustic parts, but I wasn't really an acoustic guitar player, and frankly I didn't even own an acoustic, so I had to borrow an acoustic. And I was green, man. I didn't have a backup acoustic guitar. I maybe had an extra cable, and I don't even think I took enough strings for the trip, so I had to buy some strings on the road. Actually, what had happened was, because I was an acoustic player, I bought a brand of strings that I thought was good because it's what I had used as a kid. It was what was available in Virginia, so I bought the same brand. When I got out there, I found that the strings just wouldn't stay in tune, and I was having just, constantly tune in between songs and stuff. And I had a little tuner, so I was able to do it. But, so I eventually, the other guitar player in the band, I said, man, I'm having trouble keeping this thing in tune, man. He said, well, what kind of strings are you using? And I told him the brand, and he said, nah, dude, you need to get something else. Get this or get that. So, I did that. I found a music store at some point and, got some different strings, and I was doing okay on the gig. I had gotten to a point where there was a little part in the show where I'd get to play a little solo. And so I worked something up, and, I played it, during the little piece. And the girl was like, oh, that's really good. Great job, So I had a show. We played up in, this was a 3-week run that I was going to be on. This is my first time getting on a tour bus. This is my first time going on the road, and I was excited. And, this female artist and all this, I didn't know a whole lot about the gig. I knew one guy on the gig, and that's how I was able to get it. And I now apologize to him if he watches this video. He knows who he is. I was still lingering from my days on the Sunset Strip, so I didn't exactly know the protocol and proper etiquette on a female country gig, but it was a 3-week run, and I'm having to learn how to get into the top bunk. I get there and I'm like, okay, this is your bunk. And of course you get a top bunk when you're new. And I've talked about this on my channel. If you haven't become a member yet, there's some videos that, are in the member section that talk about this, how to not be green on the road. So if you join and become a member, you can watch those videos. So I learned how to get in the top bunk, and I packed this bag, with stuff on it. And, this female artist was, it was kind of a unique situation. I mean, she would get on the stage and she would say stuff. Yeah, it's really tough being on the road. I got to travel with all these guys and they smell and all that. I'm just like, what kind of stage rap is this? What kind of, you're just like, dude, you're throwing us under the bus. But we played for 3 weeks. We were gone, and we were headed it seemed like every night we would, get on the bus, and then it'd be 400 or 500 miles to the next place, and we would just crisscross all across, north and in the middle of the country. And so, the gig went okay, and it wasn't like brutal work because this wasn't a headliner. These were generally playing like festivals, and we'd be playing at like noon. So you'd be done fairly early. And, we went up, I think the last gig, the gig that made me lose the gig, we were playing in Fargo, North Dakota. And, here's the thing. We would play a show, and if the female singer felt that she had a bad show, then everybody had a bad show. And I can remember coming off the stage, and I'm like, oh man, that was great and all this. And the band leader goes, bro, bring it down. She's not happy, and she doesn't think it was a good show. And so, yeah, if you get on the bus, and I would recommend you stay off the bus for a while, yeah, she's not happy. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, oh, okay. So you're having to literally immediately take your woohoo to, oh crap. And you're like, man, dude, we just played, music in front of people for money. And, I didn't hear anything. There were no mistakes or clams. But man, that's how it was. And so I can remember we were up in Fargo, North Dakota. And, I did my little solo bit in my song, and she was like really happy about that, and, got to hear that I could actually play, because just strumming G chords and C chords and singing high harmony, I mean, that's a skill, but you're not showing any of your playing ability. And I've always had a little bit of chops. I can pull off a decent solo, here and there. And so we played Fargo, North Dakota, and I come off the bus, and I get on the bus after the show, and she's like, Brad, great job. And, that was awesome. I really liked your solo. And I'm like, oh, thank you so much. And so, I think she probably got a ride back to the hotel or something, but we had played this gig, and it was Fargo, North Dakota. And there was this little like VIP area set up for us where we could, have some beers and, and hang out. And I'm hanging out backstage, and I start talking to this girl, and, we're having beers and we're having a good time. And, she tells me her mom was a Playboy Playmate, and, and all this stuff. And she ends up taking me out to another bar. Afterwards I go, ride with her and go, well, when we, at the end of the night, she's like, can I just crash in your hotel room? And I'm like, yeah, that's not a problem, you know. And we had to share hotel rooms. So I had to share a room with the band leader. We had to creep in the hotel room and try to be quiet. And, you know, we spent the night. It was fairly innocent. You know, we made out a little bit. It was not like, full on like rock star, craziness. But the next morning, I'm like, okay, I just had this feeling like, look, we probably need to, be a little bit stealth about this. So we slipped out. I said, let's go out the side door. Let's just try to be a little stealth. And we walk out the side door, and I see this taxi pull up, and the door opens, and it's the artist, and she sees me walking out with this girl, and I've got my bed head, and it's the morning, and she goes, "Hi, Brad," and gives me this death stare, and I'm like, I'm walking around the corner with the girl to walk her to her car, and I said, I don't know, but I think I just got fired. And she's like, why? And I was like, I don't know. I just get that feeling. So later that day, when it was time to get on the bus, the tour manager gets all of us guys on the bus, and he says, guys, we need to go over the rules. So the tour manager gets us all on the bus. And when the band leader got up, I told him, I said, dude, I don't know. I might have screwed up. I walked this girl out of the side door this morning, and Shelly saw me. She goes, she saw you? And I was like, yeah. He goes, dude. I'm like, So we get on the bus, and before the artist gets there, and the tour manager sits us down and goes, okay, boys, here's the deal. We need to go over the rules. Now, first of all, there will be no girls on the bus and no girls in Shelly's rooms. If you want to have a guest in your room, you will have to get your own room. And I'm thinking, well, I was staying in the room. I thought it was my room, but apparently because she had, the rooms had been purchased, that I guess they were her rooms. So this was, I think you had maybe 2 or 3 shows left of the 3-week run. And there was another weird incident where, it was after a show, and she was in a good mood, and she said, oh, let's all watch a movie together. And there was this, the new Stallone movie, Copland, was out. And somebody said, hey, let's watch Copland. It's Stallone. It's supposed to, De Niro. It's supposed to be good. And we're watching the movie, and it's a pretty good movie. We're watching it, and there was a brief, like literally 10-second scene where they're in a strip club. And she immediately, oh my God. And she runs out of the bus, and we have to turn the movie off because there was this brief scene inside a strip club. And I'm just like, man, what is the deal, dude? I get maybe she felt uncomfortable. We were not animals. We were just sitting there trying to enjoy a movie. And, it's not like, we're all adults here. It's not going to send us into some psychotic sexual rage, seeing a couple boobs, in a movie. It was over the top. So when we got home, after a few days, we got home, and that next morning, I got the call from the tour manager. It says, Brad, we're getting someone else, and we were due to get back on the bus. I think it was like the next day. It says, Brad, we're going with someone else now, and we will no longer need you on tour. I was like, okay, whatevs, bro. And that was my first experience being on the road. I lasted 3 weeks on a 3-week run. I didn't get what we often call in the music business a hot dog and a road map. And it's kind of a running joke among touring musicians that, man, they'll just leave you on the side of the road with a hot dog. Here's a hot dog, and here's a road map how to get home. So I didn't get, thrown off the bus, but essentially, for, I guess, having a date, was a single guy, I was probably like 29 years old. And, I still had the days of the Sunset Strip kind of in my head. And I thought, meeting a girl and making out a little bit was okay, but apparently it wasn't. And I learned a valuable lesson then. It was quite a few years before I was given a call to go back out on the road. And, you learn lessons from doing things and getting out there and doing it. And my first stint on the road, I learned a valuable lesson.